It's August 25th, Friday afternoon, and today I got my computer fixed last night, so I'm gonna shoot another lobster roll video today. Now this is gonna be a little bit different. Why do you ask? There are the two lobster rolls I'm going to have today. These guys are relatively fresh. They were caught this morning, and they are going to make at least two nice lobster rolls. This is 3 pounds of lobster, two 1.5 pounders that I bought from a local lobster fisherman who sells them after he comes in for the day, and he's getting $6 a pound for these guys. So this is roughly 20 bucks worth of lobster. And I have some buns, and the biggest problem is going to be getting these guys into the buns. I don't know if they're going to fit, so I think I'm going to have to coax them into this little pot of water that's just now coming to a boil, and let them take a nice warm bath, after which I will shell them, and we'll put the lobster meat on the buns and have lobster rolls. Now, as I said, this is 3 pounds of lobster in the shell, and we'll see what we get in terms of how much meat we get out of it. We will weigh the meat. So as soon as the water comes to a boil, I'll put these guys in and we will cook them. Basically, I just got a pot here. It's got about 1.5 inches of water in it. We're not going to submerge them in boiling water. We're just going to get the water boiling and basically steam them. And it'll take about 10 minutes or so. Okay, so come back when the water comes to a boil. Let's take a look at these lobsters before we cook them. When they're caught, the lobstermen put these rubber bands on the claws because lobsters are kind of aggressive toward each other, and the bigger ones will eat the smaller ones when they're in the tank on the boat. They have two different size claws, a big claw and a smaller claw. This one, big claw, is called the crusher, and oh, that one's trying to get away. That won't happen. You can calm them down by just rubbing on the shell like this, and they'll kind of get a little bit relaxed. And if they're struggling when you try to put them in the pot, you can do that, and then they'll go in pretty easily. Okay, here's this one's got its tail out, a little bit bigger. Nice big crusher claw. Left claw on this one, right claw on this one is the crusher. I don't know if that signifies anything in particular. Okay, so wait for our water to come to a boil, and these guys will go in for about 10 minutes, and they'll change color to that bright red that you're used to for cooked lobsters. Okay, the water has come to a boil. We'll take the lid off and see if these guys want to go for a swim. Here we go. One down. And get his claw down there. And 2 down. And we'll just put the lid on to get good steam. And they will cook. Take about 10 minutes. And I've turned the water down just to keep it at a light boil. Okay, here they are. They were in the water for a little over 10 minutes. I had about 1.5 inches of water in the pan, just brought it to a boil, stuck these guys in for their bath. When they changed color to this nice red color, they were done. And I weighed them after I cooked them. They were sold to me as 3 pounds of lobster. This one, after cooking, weighed 1 pound 10 ounces. And this one weighed 1 pound 6 ounces. So 3 pounds. The lobstermen simply look at them and say, that's 1.5 pounds, that's 1.25 pounds. So you kind of get an estimate when you buy from a lobsterman. They don't actually weigh them like they would in the supermarket. But they were $2 a pound cheaper than the supermarket. So I'm going to crack these guys, and I've got my cracking tools. This one is actually for lobsters. As you can see, the little lobster symbol. And this is an old one that was actually bought many, many years ago to crack crab. But crabs and lobsters aren't fussy about what tools you use to open them up. Okay, I'm going to crack these guys, and then we'll weigh the meat afterward and find out how much lobster meat we got out of 3 pounds of lobster. Okay, here is one of the lobsters. I'm going to go through the shelling procedure. It's pretty simple. First step is going to be to separate the claws and the tail from the body, and that's easy to do. And then we will break the claws and cut the tail and get the meat out. There is meat in the legs, but there's not enough to justify picking it. But you can just break those legs off and sort of suck the meat out. And there is stuff that people eat in the body. There's a part of the lobster called the tamale, which you can eat. I don't like it, so I don't. So for me, the main body of the lobster is waste. So anyway, I'll separate this guy and show you what it looks like. All right, I'm going to take the tail out. That's very simple. Just grab it and pull it out. That's it. Now this, as I said, is waste, except there is a little bit of meat in the legs, which we can just break off. And you can actually just sort of suck the meat out of those. So this is pretty easy to do. And the claws just break off very easily. And the next thing I'm going to do is break the claw off at the knuckle. Now, there are some spines on here, so you have to be a little careful, but there we go. And I'm doing this over a plate because lobsters have a good deal of water in them. Okay, so this one is ready to crack and get the meat out of the shell. Okay, here's the lobster meat from those 2 lobsters. 3 pounds of lobster yielded 10 ounces of lobster meat. So I'm going to make 2 lobster rolls out of this. And I've separated it out, tail, claw, and knuckle meat for each one. And one of them is going to be sauteed in butter, and the other one will be just a little mayo added to the lobster meat. And I'll toast the buns and put these bad boys together. If you're making them yourself, you need about, if you want to make a 4-ounce lobster roll, you need about 1 1¼ pound lobster at a minimum. Now these are soft shell lobsters, which is what you get late in a season like this. If you get a hard shell lobster, you'll get a slightly higher meat yield. So if these had been hard shell lobsters, 3 pounds of lobster probably would have yielded 12, maybe 13 ounces of lobster meat, just because the shell would be much fuller of meat than it is with a soft shell lobster. So we're going to make these 2 lobster rolls up. As I said, one will be sauteed in butter, and I will cut the meat up a little bit for that, especially the tail. Eating a lobster tail by itself is a bit of a task if it's in a lobster roll. So we'll cut these up, and I'll toast the buns and assemble my 2 lobster rolls. Okay, here's the buttered lobster roll, sauteing in butter. There are the buns, and here is the other lobster roll. It's going to be the mayo one. We'll just throw in, 3/8 of a teaspoon of mayo, and I'll stir that up. Okay, there we go. 2 nice lobster rolls. We got a warm buttered lobster roll here, and a lobster roll with mayonnaise here. And I held out a little bit of lobster here that I'll put in a lobster omelet for breakfast tomorrow. So that's it. 2 lobster rolls. They cost a little over $10 each, all up. And I think they're going to be pretty good. Now, time to put this lobster roll to the test. And there's a lot of lobster on this bun. That's a good lobster roll. I think the guy who made it knew what he was doing. Okay, these two lobster rolls cost, as I said, about $11 each. They've got a generous amount of lobster on them, and the mayo and the buttered lobster are just the way we like them. So I'd have to say, if you don't mind the little extra effort of cooking and cracking the lobsters, getting the meat out, you can buy 3 pounds of lobsters for 2 people, make 2 very nice lobster rolls, different kinds, for about a third of what they would cost at any of the takeout places. It's not that much work. It is more than just handing them your credit card. But you get the lobster roll just the way you like it. And you might have a little extra lobster that you can toss into a lobster omelet for breakfast. So that's homemade lobster rolls from scratch. And by scratch, I mean from live lobsters. Altogether, took about 35 minutes. It's not that bad to do, but it's definitely worth it. So I am going to go enjoy my lobster roll now. Thanks for watching.